YB stays on your neck.
He's on my neck.
Andy Ruiz too. I've heard you say you're looking at a couple of venues. Cardiff still favourite?
Yeah, Cardiff still favourite. Couple of venues. I don't think we'll go to the States, but next couple of days, Andy Ruiz will be alerted.
Right. Africa?
Possibly.
Right. Africa?
Possibly.
Right. Africa?
Possibly.
There's gonna come out pretty soon, you know.
Can you
I don't want to say
it's gonna be.
I can't
You already
say
told me.
I did tell you, but
I'm not telling anybody.
No, don't tell
Until
nobody.
the cameras are off.
Yeah, but it's gonna be this year. It's gonna be an exciting fight. Me and Anthony Joshua rematch. But the word's gonna come out soon. Where's it gonna be at? If anything, I'll message you and be like, "Oh, you already know." Actually, you already know.
Well, so now going into this rematch, is there anything that you're going to do differently? I mean, obviously now that he's well aware you're a big threat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's going to think about you. I mean, I'm sure he was aware you were a threat before, but when you stopped him, you became the first guy to beat him. I mean, that changes history.
Mm-hmm. I think what we're gonna do, we're getting a big house over there in Mexico, somewhere in the nowheres, you know. So we're gonna have a secluded a camp, you know, a close camp. So we're getting a big house over there in Mexico, somewhere in the nowheres, you know. So we're gonna have a secluded a camp, you know, a close camp. So we're getting a big house over there in Mexico, somewhere in the nowheres, you know. So we're gonna have a secluded a camp, you know, a close camp. So we're just gonna be really focused for this fight.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So we just heard there from two sources of information. Interesting stuff. First of all, we hear from a team AJ incumbent, Eddie Hearn. He hints that AJ Ruiz in Africa is a possibility. Now, that said, he did also say that the UK is most likely, but he definitely didn't kill it. It would have been interesting if someone had asked, I don't know, AJ versus Ruiz in Israel. Maybe he would have said, maybe he was in one of them moods where you just want to keep all doors open, but I thought that was quite interesting, especially since it's taken so long. Does that make sense? I'm thinking, there's a number of things that could be going on. My sources tell me it's because Andy Ruiz is refusing to sign the contract, but it could genuinely be the case that my sources are wrong, unlikely, but they could be wrong, and it could be that Eddie Hearn is actually trying to sort out some random ass location. One thing for sure, there's no way it's taken this long to get Cardiff sorted. Does that make sense? So the fact it's dragged on this long, it could be because they're picking some exotic location. Now, what do I think about that? Keep it in the UK, man. Let's keep this one. Let's get this one back and keep it simple. Yeah, the YB's been consistent since it's happened. I said, listen, let's leave all that frilly-ish in the past. Yeah, when AJ was undefeated, 22 fights or whatever it was, and he was knocking everyone over. If you want to get all exotic with it, yeah, no problem. Get if you want to get all freaky with it, no problem. You tried that, you stepped out, didn't work out. Let's reduce the variables here. Let's keep it. Let's try and get like a science experiment going on. Let's reduce all uncontrolled variables. Variables, yeah? Get it straight. At least then we can say, you know what, it wasn't the UK. It was this, that, the other. Let's get it clean. Let's understand what we're dealing with. None of this Africa business and all that. That's great. I'd love for him to fight in Africa, but not now. Let's get this W back, and then you can start thinking about being exotic with it. However, that moves me on to the next part of this video. We also heard from Andy Margin Boo Ruiz. Now, I don't know, maybe I was the only one who read into this, but you'll see the part of this video which I replayed a few times. And let me give you a bit of back info. Essentially, Joe Rogan and Andy Ruiz are talking about the AJ rematch. And Andy Ruiz says to Rogan, don't tell anyone, because essentially, apparently Andy Ruiz already told Joe Rogan where it is. So you've got to bear in mind, Joe Rogan knows where it is. And the reason I say that is to say this. Because Andy Ruiz then goes on to say, yeah, we're going to have a tight camp in Mexico. Yeah, we're going to keep it really close. And I'm thinking, what? Keep it Mexico close? If the fight was in the UK, this is me speculating. I think it's in the UK, but why would you go to Mexico to have a camp if you're fighting in the UK? He said he was keeping it close, so that made me speculate. Is it in the US? Is it in Mexico even? I don't know. But like I say, the fact it's taking so damn long to get this popping, surely it can't be Cardiff. Surely not. What? It don't take 8 weeks to get Cardiff's an easy one to wrap up, I'd have thought. We've never had this kind of speculation before. Then again, we've never had this kind of shook guy in Andy Ruiz messing around and refusing to sign contracts either. But that said, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that maybe I'm reading too much into it? What did you take from that clip I've just replayed a few times? Do you think that this could be in Mexico? Because why? If it was in the UK, Mexico is even further than the US. Ruiz don't live in the US. Sorry, Ruiz don't live in Mexico or train in Mexico at the best of times. When he's fighting in the US, he don't even train in Mexico. So why would you go even further away from the UK, as in Mexico, than the US? And then not only has he gone further away from the UK, he's also then said, "Oh yeah, we're going to keep it close." How is going to Mexico keeping it close for a UK camp? Which that implies to me the fact that in this video Andy Ruiz admits that he's told Joe Rogan where the location is. It seems like, I don't know, maybe there's going to be a really exotic place coming up. But one thing for sure, if it was in Mexico, that is not a neutral ground. If I hear that the fight's been announced in Mexico, I'll know that there's some sort of... I'll know that AJ fell over in that fight. Does that make sense? I'll know. If AJ's daring to go to Mexico, I'll know that he just flopped over in that fight. Or there was something that he knows he can fix. Does that make sense? That's the only thing it can be. If this fight's in Mexico, I am 1,000% sure he was cloned in that fight. Because there's no way you get beat as devastatingly as he did in that New York fight and then agreed to go to Mexico unless you knew the fix was in. Does that make sense? And I've exposed it myself. I was the first one to expose this. After the fight with AJ versus Ruiz, the first thing on AJ's lips, the first thing, not Sky. Sky didn't get the first interview. DAZN got the first interview with AJ, yeah? The very first interview, the first words out of AJ's mouth were, "Oh, yeah, well, it's not great, but it will be great for the networks. This will do very well for the network ratings." That there, I don't care what no one says, that there is not... This guy's unbeaten, yeah? They're not the words of an unbeaten guy thinking about the network. Them sort of discussions go on. You think about the network months before or months after. To bring that up on fight night, I just think that's... I don't know, man. And even, forget what I said, I remember Sugar Ray Leonard, who was one of the commentators of the night, he said, "I don't know what's going on." Like, he couldn't understand himself how AJ was so lackadaisical and so relaxed with it. It almost implying that... Not implying, but when people humans are humans. Of course, there's a spectrum sort of thing. Different people react different ways. But in general, after a loss, after an undefeated fighter takes a loss, they're not worried. And they're not thinking about how well ratings are going to do. Normally, if I was to draw out a table of the things an undefeated fighter who's just been devastatingly defeated would think about, I'd probably put it about 60th on the list, i.e., 60th on the list would be how well this would do for ratings. Does that make sense? But let's see what happens. As I've been saying, for me, this is a UK jobby. Let's see how it plays out. And actually, before I go, I've just realised something. Ruiz says here that he's told Joe Rogan the location. So how does it hasn't been announced yet? This video came out on the same day that Eddie Hearn said that, "Oh yeah, we're going to notify Ruiz and we're going to notify Team Ruiz in the next 24 to 48 hours." So how does Andy Ruiz know the location already? I'm confused about that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they've got some sort of... I'm confused, yeah, I'm thinking about it now. How would he know? Unless he's already signed it, unless that on that day they'd sent it and already signed it. However, one bit of information contradicting that is, during this interview, Andy Ruiz says, "Oh yeah, negotiations are still going on." So I'm thinking, wait there, if negotiations are how could you have known to tell... How could you know to tell Joe Rogan what the location is? I guess we could speculate. Maybe Ruiz and Al Gaiman have held Eddie Hearn to ransom. In as much as I've been explaining over these last few weeks, AJ and Eddie Hearn have all the power. But like we've heard from Eddie Hearn said, listen, we might have to think about doing a neutral ground just to get his signature. Because Ruiz can refuse to sign. Yes, he'll lose millions, but these is the type of guys you're dealing with. They're moist guys. They're completely moist. They're happy to throw away their futures just to not get their ass whooped in the UK. That's what I'm trying to say. Their pride is worth more than any money. He's sitting there thinking, you know what? Him not coming to the UK and getting his chain snatched in front of all of his peoples by the YB is worth a lot more than any pounds and pence. That's the bottom line. He'd rather lose millions in court, not be able to fight for years, than come to the UK, see the YB kicks off, snatches his chain, and posts it on the gram a few hours later. I'll put one of them gully masks on and say, listen, if Ruiz wants his chain back, it's going to be $50 million. If Ruiz wants his chain back, I'm going to need $50 million. You'll see the YB posted up on the gram. Simple as that. So the chain will be snatched. IFL TV will catch it. YB will pull up, snatch the chain, ball off, and post it on the gram for a few man to see. Simple as that. 100%. My man don't want to come to the UK. He's shook. Certified. As I was saying anyway, the fix might be in here. Ruiz may have said to Eddie Hearn, listen, the only way you're getting my signature on there is if you agree to fight in Mexico. Or if you agree to fight in some next place. That could be the case. That could be how he knows where it's going to be before Hearn knows. He might have told Rogan, listen, Rogan, I can tell you where it's going to be because I can tell you I'm only going to sign if it's here. And we know Eddie Hearn and AJ, they haven't got time. These guys like new money. They like cash flow. They're not interested in this old money. Ruiz is sitting there thinking, you know what? I've got 7 million. I can hold out forever. AJ and Hearn, they like new money. They like adding up money. They like compounding money. They want more. Fight. They want to keep it moving. So they're thinking, you know what? If we have to fight in Mexico just to get this pussycat to sign the contract, that's what we'll do. And let's get something straight as well. Whilst I haven't advised AJ to go to Mexico, you best believe if AJ goes to Mexico, he will run through Ruiz the same damn way. Whilst it's not ideal, scrap ideal, he'll get brought down the same way. You've heard it from the YB. He'll get brought down 100%. He'll get murked in his home. He'll get murked in his homeland. Yeah, simple as that.